Noemi Jimenez, and the film I decided to review is Freedom Riders, which was directed by Richard Lagavulin. This film has intrigued me because it is inspired by a group of teenagers whose lives are being summarized throughout the whole movie. You get to see their struggles as they grow up as individuals. In the beginning of the film, you see a young girl sitting on a porch as she witnesses a man getting shot and murdered. Later on, it shows her father getting arrested by a group of white policemen for no apparent reason. And then jump cuts to a few years later where the little girl isn't so little anymore. She's walking the streets with her boyfriend beside her when all of a sudden 2 young Asian men jump out of a car to attack them, causing a shootout. During this time, a young teacher named Erin Garrell begins to work at Woodrow Wilson High School with the interest of getting to know each student. During her first day of teaching, Erin comes to the realization that her class is more divided than she originally thought, as each student sat beside their ethnic group. A fight has happened during her first day of school outside of the courtyard, making her come to the realization that violence was an everyday occurrence here. We then learn that the young girl name is Ava. She was at a convenience store when her boyfriend Paco was out seeking revenge of a guy named Grant. As Grant saw him with the gun, he ran for it, causing the young man to accidentally shoot the wrong guy, causing the death of one of her classmates, Sydney's boyfriend. The following day, Miss Girl decides to create a game where the students are separated by a line. They will only go up to the line if the saying that she is discussing has happened to them, in hopes that they'll come to the realization that they have more in common than what they originally had thought. She then introduces them to journals for that the students are allowed to write their every thoughts as they experiences the things that they experiences as a sort of stress relief. As the students begin to bond with one another, Miss Girl comes to the realization that school isn't providing the students with the school supplies that they deserve. Instead, they are giving them red broken books and giving the new school supplies to the class of white students. The following year, she decides to take up another job so that she could give the students the school supplies that they deserve. They ended up raising enough money so they could meet a Holocaust survivor, which was very eye-opening to all of the students, encouraging them to raise up the grades as they come to the realization that Miss Girl cares for them. Unfortunately, this causes a strain in her marriage with her husband, causing them to get a divorce because he was jealous of her spending tremendous time with her students. As all of this was happening, there was a trial that was happening for the murder of Sydney's boyfriend. Eva's father was pressuring her to protect her kind, causing her to have doubts whether or not she should tell the truth of who murdered the young man because of how much respect she has for her father. She later says in court that her boyfriend Paco killed the boy, causing tensions to run where she lives. In result of her telling the truth, she ends up getting jumped by her own kind, saying that the only reason that they didn't kill her was because of the respect she has for her father. She later distances herself from her father. As the student sophomore year comes to an end, they come to the realization that Miss Girl will not be their teacher anymore because she only teaches freshmen and sophomores. Miss Girl then takes this up to the superintendent, asking if she could teach the students for the junior year. Uncertain if she'll be able to teach them, she encourages the students to type out their journal entry, creating the book known as the Freedom Riders. In the end, Miss Girl was allowed to not only teach students for their junior year, but also their senior year. Many of the students end up graduating and going to college, becoming the first in their families to do so. The two film techniques that I felt helped the film tremendously was the mise-en-scène and acting. One of the actors stood out to me, which is April Lee Hernandez, who played Ava in the film. I honestly think that the casting directors made an excellent choice choosing her to portray Ava, because you could tell from her acting that it was authentic and powerful, which contributed to the film. The mise-en-scène throughout the film also strengthened the film by creating realistic school props, dressing up the actors as if they were living during the time period, and also because they were the same age group as the people who they were portraying. The two themes in this movie has to be understanding and growth. Understanding because considering how divided each group of teenagers were based on their ethnic group, they had hatred for one another, and they ended up becoming a big loving family where they felt for one another. They understood each other and came to the realization that they were the same. They dealt with the same struggles. Growth, because each student believed that they wouldn't be able to do anything with their lives, that their lives revolved around survival and gang violence. So to see them grow to people who cared about school, who cared about the grades, who many became first in their families to graduate high school and college. The director, Richard Lugovinsky, was born in Brooklyn, New York on October 30th, 1959. He is married to Ann Wilson and has one child. He is also known for his film Beautiful Creatures and Behind the Candelabra. His choices for portraying the film the way he did was because he wanted it to be as authentic as possible, because he wanted the viewers to feel inspired as he did when he read the book The Freedom Writers' Diaries. My honest review in The Freedom Writers is that this is such an empowering story, and I am so glad it got the recognition it deserved as it was made into a movie. At first, I was kind of worried about whether or not the movie would do the book's justice because of how authentic and how realistic the book was, because it told people's struggles and what they faced. But The Freedom Writers did do its justice. It's not like any other Hollywood blockbuster movie. There's no overdramatic acting, there's no over the top action. It was authentic and it was as raw and it was real. And I feel like this is what helped portray The Freedom Writers as such a powerful movie, because it is a powerful topic and many people have a past who they aren't the most proud of. But as they grow up, they come to the realization that their past does not define them as a person. And I feel like the movie did so much justice to the book. The director did everything that he could possibly do to make the movie be as amazing as it was. And this is the reason why I give the film 5 stars out of 5 stars. Just because of how authentic, how realistic, how sincere the movie was.